Welcome, everybody. I know you're all here to see Emily today. It's a great turnout, so I'm glad you all made it for her honor. But anyway, thank you for coming today. This is a continuation of our Director's Dialogue. So just to clarify, it's not a town hall, it's a Director's Dialogue. So they're a little different. And we started these off last year as part of the strategic plan, trying to raise awareness of the unique culture of the ARC. So part of this initiative was to get to know the different departments, some of the personnel within the departments, and a little more about what's going on in those different areas. So we've been through all the different ones, and then this year we're starting the cycle over. So today we'll share a little more information. Some residents have joined us since then, but we'll share a little information about the administrative offices, key roles and responsibilities. We'll go through some pictures and slides, a little bit about, current ARC information on different aspects, talk a little bit about where we've been, and then about the journey forward. So we're very excited to do this and to get this kicked off. So we'll go through these, and again, a lot of these are going to be photographs, and we'll move through them relatively quick, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end. And as always, if you'd rather bring up anything in person, I'll stay up here afterward to answer any questions. So we're going to begin with some introductions and background, and I think I'm going to ask Emily to come up and lead us through the first couple of them.
So my name is Emily Morehouse Esquivel. I married my husband Vince on October 13th, 2024, and then we also, on the right, have the light of our lives, and his name is Munster. And then some key influences for me, one of them is my grandfather. He passed away in 2021, but he served in the Army and the Air Force, and one of the great things about him was that despite many health issues that lasted a lot of years, he had an optimism that just shined through him all the time, and we believe kept him with us longer. And then also there's my grandmother, and while my grandpa was stationed elsewhere, she cared for 4 girls and then also worked herself. And then also my mother, who you might know from the design studio, her name's Teresa. She's always looking for ways to be more efficient and improve processes, and so I've learned that from her. And then a little bit about me. I grew up in Floresville, and now I live in San Antonio and on the Northwest side. And then I graduated from the University of North Texas in 2016 with a bachelor's in sociology and a minor in nonprofit management. And then I also worked in hospitality for several years, and after that I worked at Meals on Wheels San Antonio. I worked with the volunteers, managed them, and also the corporate partners.
Emily's been a godsend to the organization and us, and it's a great spirit and has really helped us in many ways. So again, I'll go through these relatively quick, but key life influences: born in eastern New Mexico, grew up in Lubbock, that area. Grandparents were very big to me. I spent about every summer out on their ranch, their farm, learning how to care for animals, raising crops, great values and people. Also, my first experiences with nursing homes. Granddad and both grandmother and granddad on the other side spent time in nursing home, and this is actually in Clovis, New Mexico, for those of you that have been there. And she lived to be 102. My granddad was 99 on that side. So grew up in Lubbock. If you've ever been there, they're known for high cotton. Back in those days, Lubbock was the highest cotton producing county in the world. So a lot of cotton produced in that area. Had to put this in there, go Longhorns. If it's not this year, we got a plug for next year, but we did raise Longhorn cattle, and that's my nephew feeding one. If you've been to West Texas, they're really known for oil and sandstorms. So I kind of combined them in the interest of condensing this, but that is a real sandstorm, and I've been through numerous of them, as many of you may have as well. Beautiful people in that area, but the geography's maybe not too much. Great experience for me was military service. It allowed me to really leave that area and make something of myself. Allowed me to go to college I had a lot of great experiences, learned my values, a lot of them in the military, stationed at Schofield Barracks, where many of you may have passed through, if not there, at least Hawaii. And also spent time in Korea and Japan and Panama. So it was a beautiful experience and definitely part of my background. Went to University of Texas at Dallas, got an accounting degree, and then went to North Texas, as Emily did, to get a master's in gerontology and healthcare administration. So it was a long time ago. Did get a nursing home administrator's license, and this is just a few places. Started out in Dallas, Fort Worth. I spent a little time down in Corpus Christi at Trinity Towers, bottom left. It's a big high-rise, first continuing care community I had been a part of. Then some time out in North Carolina, big 200-bed nursing home, and we expanded and built assisted living while I was there. But a beautiful place, and that was my first experience in a nonprofit. And then had the opportunity to come to San Antonio at Incarnate Word, and was there about 17 years. You see some of the nuns in the pictures, but also the top left was the longest lived resident we ever served, and she was 108. And she lived in independent living and passed away in independent living in her apartment with a little help, but it was a beautiful experience. So that led me to the ARC, what I consider an opportunity of a lifetime, and probably resonates with you as well. It's your retirement opportunity of a lifetime. Beautiful, incredible campus. So a little bit, we'll get into the administrative offices and some of the roles and responsibilities, but as you know, the chief cook and bottle washer, pretty much responsible for all the operations and strategic direction of the ARC. Of course, with support from Emily, which is very phenomenal. But we do work collaboratively with the board, with residents and the resident council and the leadership team and staff to kind of move the ARC forward.
So I am the Executive Administrative and Development Assistant, which means that I assist both Steve and our Director of Development, Anna Sweeten. One of my job duties is to be a liaison to the Board of Directors. I coordinate meetings for them, write the minutes, keep the board page updated on the website, and also act as a secondary point of contact. And I also make sure that the minutes go up on the portal and go in the library. And then I also work on the donor database and the gift acknowledgements. And so any gift that is given to the ARC, it is receipted by me, and any acknowledgements that you see, those are drafted by me. And so any mistakes you see, we do try to catch them, but they are from me. And then I also do other donor communications as needed. I do donor prospect research. I manage the wish list, which you can find on mailroom, bulletin boards, and also on the website and by the Resident Services Office. And then a lot of y'all got these last Friday, but the end of year summaries, I produce and distribute those. And that is all me, so it does take me a little bit of time to get it to y'all. But again, if you see any mistakes, let me know. That is me. And then I also assist with Anna and Steve's schedules. And then I do meeting support. So again, running Zooms, making presentations, all of that stuff. And then I also do the strategic plan tracking. So I work with HR, finance, and the initiative work group executive sponsors to see how the metrics are doing and the progress we're making. And then I also make the reports for the board and the board committees. And then I also put those in the library and on the portal. And then lastly, other duties as assigned.
I will say Emily is incredible. She's has a maturity and initiative that is very, very well received, and I think she's amazing. So thank you very much. You've probably seen this before, but just a quick organizational chart of the leadership team. We have 375 employees. The average tenure of the leadership team is about 9.5 years. It's phenomenal. Overall organization average tenure is about 6 years. And the average age of all of our coworkers combined is about 48. So that gives you a little bit of perspective on staff. Board of Directors, similarly, we have a fantastic, incredible volunteer board of directors. And these are the men and women that volunteer their time to help us move the ARC forward. Different aspects, legal, financial, nonprofit management, facilities, fundraising, a lot of different talents on the board of directors. And I'm pleased to say 4 of them are ARC residents, and that's about 27% of the current board. So I think across the nation, we're a leader in that area as well, as most organizations do not have resident representation, or if they do, it's relatively small. So again, board of directors set the strategic organization, the strategic direction for the organization. They do focus on governance. We have 15 members now, consisting of non-resident and residents, and they serve 3-year terms, and they can renew those. Non-residents can do 3 3-year terms, and residents can do 2. So again, there's the different areas that the leaders bring expertise, and we're very pleased and honored to work with them and to have them serving our organization. So as part of the board, there are different board subcommittees, and they are Development, Finance, and Healthcare Committee. And kind of gives a quick overview of them, but of course development is philanthropy, helping us build and maintain a culture of philanthropy. Finance, overall financial health of the ARC, and as we move forward, good financial strategies and plans. Healthcare Committee, I'll touch on this a little bit more in a bit, but really all these committees meet leading up to the board meeting, and the board meets 5 times a year. So the Healthcare Committee looks at metrics and state surveys and quality assurance measures, and we look at that as a healthcare committee and move forward with our initiatives and planning. And we also have a nominating committee of the board where they find new board members that would be willing to serve and that has the expertise we're looking for. Strategic Planning and Policy Committee, which does oversee our metrics and our charter work groups, which I'll touch on a little bit later. A very robust group, and I encourage you to keep an eye on those metrics that every time we meet at the board, we present the updated metrics and worksheets, then those go to the portal in the library. Also, of course, Marketing Committee to look at moving the ARC forward into our national advertising campaigns, trying to source and find our target market, which is somewhat small, but we work hard to find that. Working really hard to market while maintaining our unique culture. So you probably know some of this, but for newer residents, it might be a bit of a review, but we have 2 main key corporations. One is the Residents Foundation. That was started in about 1982, and it operates the community, holds the licenses, and it is the operating entity. And there is the Supporting Foundation, which was created in about 2003, and that really owns the land and the facilities and the bulk of the assets. And way back around that time frame, early 2000s, there were a lot of lawsuits happening in senior living, and so professional liability insurance became almost unaffordable. It was a very difficult time. So across the nation, many communities created a foundation or a supporting foundation for the assets, and that way you separate the assets from the operating entity. That's the main reason that occurred, and that has continued on. Since the early 2000s, tort reform took place in Texas, where they did some caps on punitive damages, and so that really helped the insurance become more affordable and helped senior living communities be able to afford the insurance and move into the future. But that's really the genesis of those. So just a real quick review. We've been through a lot here at the ARC in the last several years. Big freeze, if you remember that. Luckily, we didn't have that when this was originally scheduled a couple of weeks ago. But we've come a long way since then. We want to forget COVID, but it still keeps rearing its ugly head. I think we had 84 cases last year, 2024, so it's still around. The Great Flood, we overcame that. And of course the infrastructure, James is not in here today, but So much work under the building, the plumbing, the HVAC, infrastructure systems, coolers, chillers, just on and on, generators. So we've come a long way on the infrastructure area. Then, of course, the campus development plan. All the renovations we did to modernize the campus and prepare for the future, and to really be able to offer many more choices and options and selections. And this carries us through a few of these photos, kind of to the journey forward. So moving forward, we have been through a lot. We've implemented a lot of technology, and sometimes that creates opportunities for enhanced customer service or enhanced resident satisfaction. And that's what we want to get back to and focus on, moving throughout this year. Sometimes technology removes the people part and you miss that personal touch. So we've got to find ways to balance that, and we're working on it. But other parts of the journey forward are occupancy development, and that's not just independent living, it's throughout the campus. And things do ebb and flow over the years. But right now we're at about 86, 87% in IL, but the healthcare areas are doing really well. And the overall campus occupancy is about 88%, which is at budget for the whole campus. So we keep working on that area, and again, it's hard to find the target market that we're a part of, but we're working hard to do that while really trying to maintain the unique culture at the ARC. So I'll talk a little bit more about strategic initiatives in a minute, but again, important in the journey forward is financial strength and financial health, and again, employee recruitment and retention. And we do a good job in that area. We're below 40% employee turnover. The industry norm is much, much higher than that. I think today we have about 15% vacancy rate, which is also really, really good. And I'll talk a little bit more about employees and the impact that residents have had in a few minutes. But also paramount to what we do at the ARC is quality of care and quality of services. And our healthcare center, I think Mary Bradley's in here, trying to hide in the back, but our new healthcare director. But we are a 5-star rated facility, community, and that's about less than 10% nationally attain that. We had great state surveys this year. Healthcare, way back last March and April, we had 3 minor citations. And then both assisted livings, Crestway and Lakeside, we had 0 citations this year. So Margie and Rachel did a fabulous job. It's really hard to get those kind of survey results, but I think our care speaks for itself when they come in and see the environment and the care delivery. Also, part of the journey forward is a culture of philanthropy. We've done an amazing job over the years of developing that and growing it, much because of your participation and your support. But that's a big part of where we're moving in the future, including, phase 2 or what's part of a broader vision of the future for veterans and those that served our nation. We're looking at this in we're not going to finish it next year and we'll be done. It's a continued evolution of how does the ARC change and prepare for the future. And in healthcare, we have some good plans. I think those of you that attended the December 12th town hall, we talked about a pretty deep dive in the phase 2 and what we're looking at. And so I'll touch on that in a few more minutes. And then of course, wellness. Is Carrie in here? Where's Carrie? I saw her walk through earlier, but not only Carrie, but we've done a fabulous job, I think, of wellness through our fitness programs, the dimensions of wellness, all the different activities and events that happen that give you opportunities to pursue wellness if that's what you want. Everybody doesn't want that, so we have to try to find that balance. But I think that's definitely an area where the ARC shines. So we're at a transitional time here at the ARC. Been a lot of change over the years. Same thing in the senior living industry. Things don't stay the same, and we have to always compete with a lot of different providers. And that competition is growing every day. And it's tough, but we continue to differentiate the ARC and say why we're unique and why we're different. That allows us to attract residents and to attract staff. So that's a big part of where we're looking at. Market dynamics, you've all seen just the period of time you've been here, how that's changing. Used to communities would be a very specific type and one size fit all, but now you have different types of refundability plans. We have a rental option, and there are a lot of other communities that have, broad-based contract choices and options, and so we compete with them, and we have to keep looking at that. And one of those areas is aging in place, and trying to come up with some kind of an aging in place benefit that residents or prospective residents could utilize if they decided not to go with the traditional life plan and moving through the continuum. So we have committees and charter work groups that are working on that. And again, looking at the strategic plan and some of our charter work groups. So these are, you see the metrics and the broader strategic plan that's in the library and on the portal, and we try to keep that very visible and updated. But these are the 5 charter work groups that when we started out, we don't know the end result and where these are headed, but these are areas that staff, residents, and board members are all involved in these charter work groups. So they're moving them forward. Resident satisfaction, we've been surveying a department per quarter, and we did housekeeping, facilities, IT. Now we're getting ready to do finance, but we continue that. And again, well-being. Debbie has a committee that tracks these satisfaction and well-being measurements and how they're being tracked. And that coincides with the 7 dimensions of wellness. And we also have the community engagement and community culture has been a very, very active committee, but we've built some good partnerships. You've seen some with like the Northeast Independent School District, their certified nursing aid training program. We've helped train about 60 young high school students and others that want to get into the healthcare field. But partnering with them, trying to partner with Alamo colleges. We have a program with Baylor. We have interns that come here quite frequently that rotate through the ARC. But also just developing more outreach and community engagement. We go to a lot of events. I know our marketing team's here, but we're going to more events here in the city that are targeted to veterans, especially now that we're looking at the enlisted market. So we're trying to have a good presence and bring some on site, and then we go out to the broader community. And that hasn't always been the case here, but it's something we're really trying to emphasize. Repositioning, looking at the future, and Cordy has a committee with residents that we look at what does the future hold, what does the ARC need to do to respond and to be ready, what product do we need that we don't have now. Those are the kind of things that are happening through that. Continuum of care, I think Debbie chairs that committee along with a lot of resident support and participation. But again, that's looking at the different levels of care. Are there gaps somewhere that we need to fill those gaps? And then again, the aging in place, or some may call concierge services, a lot of different ways to look at that, but it's insistence in your home. So that's what that primarily looks at. And then again, technology and facilities is a very robust group that works on that, and where do we need to head in those areas. I also want to highlight, since we're talking about the unique culture of the ARC, our values that we came up with as part of our overarching strategic plan. So this resonates with new residents coming in, board members, and staff. So we try to highlight that, so we're emphasizing our unique values and culture, and that they need to be able to live and work within those areas. And so as we get toward the end of the formal presentation, I just really want to highlight the residents for the volunteerism and the impact. And this isn't an all-inclusive list, but just the resident donors, what we've done with the capital campaign. We raised about $4.4 million originally. We continue to see very generous support of various programs through the resident council and their support. The Smith Fund had an incredible impact. It was a record year, and you see the average check was almost $1,400 for our hourly coworkers, and that helped almost 360 employees. And I also wanted to highlight the Kiwanis. Since about 2018, that's when I started, but they've given out 345 scholarships to ARC employees and dependents. And that is incredible. We've had so many staff been able to become an RN or an LVN or obtain a certification or get a bachelor's degree, and you continue to see that success. And I think it's really incredible, and I have not seen that in other communities. And of course, the resident council and the one-time buy is extremely helpful. So my hat's off to the residents and the Kiwanis, and don't ask me to sing, you probably won't enjoy it. And I love this photo. I love that. It's part of a spiritual aspect, but I'll put that up here before this next one, which is Q&A. So pardon my sense of humor, but try to keep this a little light since it is a director's dialogue, but we debated on which suit of armor to put up there, but I think this one's appropriate. But so I think now, Emily, and we're going to circulate around. We'll take some questions.
This is just an observation. When you put up the board of directors, I'm glad we have 2 resident females on there. The rest of them are all male.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up. The nominating committee has done did you hear the question, everybody, or the comment? Yeah. Well, they've done a good job of creating a matrix of board members, skill sets, where we're strong on the board and where we could have some opportunities to strengthen it. And one of those areas is that topic of diversity and gender, both of those. So good comment. And by the way, while we're on that topic, if you know people out in the community that might be a good board member, please refer them to us and we'll try to put them through the process. We're always looking for talented leaders. Where are we?
Steve, I just wanted to mention the beauty of, number one, the ARC, and you and the people that are working with you. When you're walking the halls, or when I'm walking the halls, and I come near you and you come near me, it's as though I'm the only one that is here. And I appreciate that so much. And I know I'm not, and I appreciate being here. But I thank you for being such a personable person for all of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I'll keep trying to be that way. Okay, other thoughts? I didn't check the time yet. We're doing pretty good, I think. All right, Mr. Kitten. I think Lori's got a mic.
The outreach programs we have, a couple of us were talking the other day that in the past we've sometimes as service members, sometimes as civilians with experience, have gone out to public schools and given them a little bit of our experience, and in some cases education, like those of us that have been in the flying business can talk about weather a whole lot. But do we have any programs that facilitate that? Because most schools these days, you almost need to have a security clearance to get in.
Mm-hmm. That's true, that's true. You know, we do, and that's part of the strategic initiative of community engagement. We have a committee again of Stephanie and Anna are chairing that committee along with resident support. But they're working to identify resident volunteers and their skill set, you might say, and how can we match that with volunteer opportunities. And you're right, some of the schools, it's like getting into Fort Knox, but once you get vetted and the IDs and the background check, you know, we should be able to do that. I don't see Dwayne Solly in here, but I know he did a lot with chess clubs in various schools. But your comment, I gave that word to the community engagement committee so we can continue to try to match resident volunteers with those efforts. So mentorships, training, we have a lot of opportunities that we could give back. And that's definitely an area.
Steve, in answer to that question, Kiwanis works with several of the schools here in the community, and you can always become a Kiwanis member and start working with the schools, and we'd welcome that, absolutely welcome that.
Yeah, anyone that has an interest in volunteer, make that known, probably to Debbie and then Anna and Stephanie, and we'll make sure we have a good cadre of trying to match those. Okay. Okay. All right.
I read the newspaper we get every Thursday, can you give them a little more information on this, what am I trying to say? The contract with our technology people through the Spectrum.
Oh, okay, the Spectrum update?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I think we're gonna do that at the resident council meeting next Wednesday. Cindy's in here, but prepared to kind of give a full update on the Spectrum contract and the changes at the resident council meeting next week, so, yeah. But it's gonna be just highlights, it'll be better, faster service, more options and more choices. There'll be a little bit of pain as we do the integration and the changeover, but I think it should be relatively smooth. But if you want to, we'll have more of a detailed information at the council meeting next week. It's next Wednesday.
That'll be put in the council minutes too.
Okay, David said it'll be put in the council minutes as well. Jeff?
Just, if they want to see the resident council, it is on Zoom.
And they can also show up here in the auditorium.
Okay, good. Yeah, he was saying you can also watch the council meetings on Zoom or show up and observe, if I remember right. Yeah. Okay, well again, thanks everybody for turning out this morning. It's kicking off February, and so have a great rest of your day.